Good. Welcome to the White House. My name is Rosemary Nabakri, and I am the Deputy Associate Administrator for the Office of Public Engagement and Environmental Education with the EPA. So on behalf of the White House and the EPA, we are so happy that you guys are here, and we are honored to have such amazing students and teacher winners here from across the country to join us today in such a great celebration. I want to start by first acknowledging a few people. I want to kick it off by thanking the White House Council for Environmental Quality for helping to pull this event together. The second person I would like to thank is Dr. Holdren. Thank you so much for the great work that you and your team did to help us pull this event together as well. Lastly, I want to thank the EPA team who worked so hard to pull this event together. And I know you guys got tons of calls and emails from Ryan Robinson from our Environmental Education Office, but the entire team worked so hard to pull this event together, so I wanted to acknowledge those folks as well. So I want to kick it off by just giving folks a little bit of background on what this event is. It's an opportunity where we bring students and teachers together to recognize them and the work that they're doing at every level in their communities. We have folks who are here today, from student winners who are combating deforestation to zero waste, to having leaders who are just doing just great work around, who's doing just great work all together around the things that they're doing in their community. So we just want to thank you guys for coming, and I want to kick it off by welcoming Story Warren, who's going to introduce our first speaker for today.
Good morning. My name is Story Warren, and I'm a high schooler from Olympia, Washington. I started my project, Kids for Wolves, after realizing how important wild carnivores and all species are to our ecosystems and our environment. I saw how much of a controversy wolf recovery was in many parts of the country, and I saw the necessity of both educating the public about the role of wild wolves in the United States and reaching out to the people on the ground who have to adapt to wolf recovery. I realized that if I wanted to grow up with healthy natural systems and conserve the environment for future generations, I had to get involved myself. With my project, I addressed only one facet of environmental protection. Administrator Gina McCarthy has taken on every duty of protecting our environment as administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency. She has dedicated her life to protecting our nation's water, air, environment, and public health for all generations. She was previously the commissioner of the Connecticut Department of the Environment and was the EPA's Assistant Administrator for Air and Radiation. She received a Bachelor of Arts in Social Anthropology from the University of Massachusetts at Boston and a Joint Master of Science in Environmental Health Engineering and Planning and Policy from Tufts University. Administrator McCarthy has worked tirelessly with people and groups across our country to find solutions to better protect our environment. She is a role model for each one of us, and we have many reasons to thank her for the legacy that she leaves for our generation. I am honored to be able to introduce today EPA Administrator Gina McCarthy.
Oops, let me take a shortcut. Good morning, everybody. We excited to be here in the White House. How cool is all this? It is cool. But it's really great. Story, thank you for the wonderful introduction. It is great to be here, and it's great to be here celebrating with you and have you talk about me. But today's really all about you, and it's amazing. I don't know if you've read any of the write-up of Story's work with Kids for Wolves, but it's worth a good read, because she's not only doing tremendous work to look at wolf conservation, but she's also spending a tremendous amount of time to teach us about what she sees in other kids, and really that's what this kind of award ceremony is all about. It's about kids getting their energy and enthusiasm into the work that has driven many of us adults to the table here, and about rewarding them for that work in recognizing that this generation has just some tremendous opportunities available to it, and the people in this room are really taking advantage of those opportunities, whether it's the kids or the teachers that motivate them and support them. So I am just so excited to be here. But I really think that Story may be the first person that actually wins an award for being both a student and a teacher at the same time. So congratulations. congratulations for all your work and for your great parents who have motivated you and taught you the values that we all hope that we embody and that we pass along to our children. But I can't say that honestly that I was doing such impressive work at your age. So if you're still a schlepper, no problem. I was a schlepper too. But most of you people aren't. And I'm a little bit jealous, and I'm also incredibly amazed because every year I read about the work that's being done, and I just can't imagine that young people are doing this type of sophisticated work, this type of ingenuity and enthusiasm. It really is an amazing thing. You're like Olympic athletes of environmental education. I wish, I had put into Congress for an appropriation for gold medals, but apparently they didn't support that, so we're going to give you paper stuff. But it's good. It's still, plaques are good. But I wish I could give you all gold medals because you're doing just as meaningful work as the people we see on TV. And it's incredible, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do as time goes on. If you take a look at the range of projects that we have, and I hope you all get a chance to look at it, you're doing everything from reducing the amount of plastic water bottles that are used in your schools, which is terrific. You're planting thousands of trees, bushes, and wildflowers. And you've served your communities by leading in education and conservation efforts. So in many ways, you're continuing to branch out and have a larger impact as time goes on. And I can't stress enough how awesome it is to see this type of strong commitment to the environment. As the administrator of EPA, it's the kind of thing I live for. It's our measure of success, is how we pass on to the next generation the sense of environmental stewardship that we were given, and to help them chart their own destiny moving forward, to protect their own future. And it's pretty amazing. And I want to also acknowledge at this point that amazement doesn't just happen with parents and families, but that amazement that I'm seeing in these faces come from teachers who help nurture that passion, who help chart a path for energy that these kids have to be so tremendously productive. So kids out there, will you do me a favor and give a big round of applause for the teachers that are here that are being recognized? They're incredible. But I have to tell you, one of the most exciting things is not what you're doing now, but it's the fact that this generation of students is the most technologically savvy, globally aware, and socially conscious generation in the history of the world. If you think about it, everything is at your fingertips now. It's a time when the internet has given you access to basically any person you can think of and any piece of information you want to know, which is both good and bad. And it's basically allowed you to think about technology innovation in a way that we've never had available to us before. And because of this president's leadership, we're taking all those technology innovations and we're packaging them in a way that's useful for citizens, that kids can understand. And we're taking actions that really have resulted in historic progress in terms of protecting the environment. Whether it's the global climate agreement that we reached in Paris, or the way our economy is growing clean jobs, renewable energy jobs. If you look at where kids are being trained now out of college, they're not going into the old jobs, they're going into the jobs of the future. The solar industry is now generating jobs at 12 times the pace of the average job growth in the United States. It's just remarkable how the world is changing. And our goal is to make sure that the U.S. is in front of that we're taking advantage of it, that we're providing leadership. Without U.S. leadership, particularly John Holdren, who is the President's science advisor who you're going to hear from, it was our leadership that made that Paris Agreement happen. And it's because you cared enough to have people doing the right thing to address climate change. It's made a world of difference in tackling even the most complicated issues. So young people out there who are doing these wonderful things, do not despair. When people start bemoaning climate change like me, I'm only bemoaning it because the solutions are available to us already. I'm not bemoaning it because it's so bad we can't fix it. I'm bemoaning it because it's so great an opportunity if we do fix it. It gives us an ability to grow jobs, to grow our economy. And we're also taking a tremendous amount of effort to make sure that every kid has available to them expertise and interest in what we call STEM disciplines, which is all of the work that we're trying to do on science and technology and engineering and math. I don't want this to be just what the boys do when they grow up. We've made a tremendous amount of progress in our equality initiatives moving forward during this administration. The world is changing. Girls, you can do math just as good as anybody else. So when you go back, you tell everybody. And if you don't believe it, you have to hang out at EPA. We do math all day long. We do science all day long. We're filled with engineers. And guess what? We call EPA the She-PA, because the women have taken over and we ain't giving it up. You know, these issues that we're dealing with, like issues of climate change, they don't just impact the environment. They impact every facet of our lives, from our public health, to our economy, to our national security. They are as big a threat to the wolves as anything else. It's about the animals. It's about our planet itself. It really is about instilling a sense of stewardship and a sense of hope and opportunity for the younger generation that they have available to them, that teachers have nurtured for so long. And it's about recognizing everybody, teachers and students, who have really gotten the environmental bug and won't let it go. So please, as you think about the future, make sure that you think about it with great hope. If you were like me and you've been alive for 62 years, you can remember a day when the environment didn't look half as good as it does today. But you can also remember pristine areas that are no longer pristine. And we need to make sure that we continue the movement forward to figure out how we bring solutions to the table that continue to have pristine areas available to us so that our ecosystems can function as they've intended. We need to continue to protect the natural resources that God gave us. That's what we're here to do. We don't own the world, we live in it. We have to protect it. We all have to work together. And so it's wonderful to both recognize all of these young people who have done such great work, incredible work really, and are on a path to a future that is extraordinarily bright. But it's also important to keep recognizing that teachers are what muster that enthusiasm. They are what creates pathways to success for our students. I'm so happy that Secretary King is going to be joining so that he can tell you just how important it is that the work you do continues, and that we recognize the continued challenge to protect our planet for our future. Now, I think you all embody an incredible spirit. It's a spirit of this country that has made this country great. It's called the spirit of innovation. It's called a spirit of education. It is called a spirit of community. That's what has made this country great. Every time we have faced significant challenges, we have stepped up. We have not turned our back to that challenge and denied it existed. We have looked it straight in the eye, and we have innovated around it, and we have made money on it. I think both are great, and we have to keep that spirit going. And I think all of you here embody how we are actually going to do that moving forward. I fully expect that the youth here will continue the spirit of public service that many of us at EPA have embraced for our lifetime, because you will recognize that you are here not for yourself. You're here for your families, your communities, you're here for this country, you are here for this planet. We have a wonderful opportunity moving forward to continue to make progress on environmental protection, but to do it in a way that continues to engage more people moving forward. These young people speak to one another in ways that we cannot. They challenge one another in ways that bring optimism to the table, that bring innovation, that drive the kind of change that we need in this country. This is what has made the United States of America so great. This is the kind of innovation and challenge that this administration and this president has brought to the table. He does not deny problems. He squarely looks them in the eye and says that they are not going to bring down the United States of America. We are great, and we're going to be greater every single year. Thank you very much. Very big announcement. Read the papers later today.
Hello, my name is Kip Brady. I teach biology, chemistry, and environmental science at New Philadelphia High School, and I'm a winner of this year's Presidential Innovation Award for Environmental Educators. I am a lucky guy. I get to spend a large portion of my life facilitating interactions between people and the ecosystems that surround them. I think Baba Dayum nailed it when he observed that, in the end, we'll conserve only what we love, we will love only what we understand, and we will understand only what we are taught. Today I have the great honor of introducing Dr. John Holdren. Dr. Holdren is Assistant to the President for Science and Technology, and also serves as Director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, and is co-chair of the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. A physicist by training, much of Dr. Holdren's distinguished career has focused on the intersection between the environment, technology, and public policy. He was an early innovator in environmental education, co-founding the University of California, Berkeley's Interdisciplinary Energy and Resources Group in 1973, with the goal of preparing students with the diverse backgrounds needed to address our most pressing environmental challenges. Prior to joining the Obama administration, he was Teresa and John Hines Professor of Environmental Policy and Director of Science, Technology, and Public Policy at Harvard University's Kennedy School of Government, and also served as director of the Woods Hole Research Center. His many professional memberships include the National Academy of Sciences and the Royal Society of London. And he has been the recipient of a MacArthur Fellowship, the John Hines Prize in Public Policy, and the Tyler Prize for Environmental Achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. John Holdren.
Well, thank you, Kip, for that kind introduction, and congratulations to you and to all of the student and teacher winners that are here today. It really has been a pleasure for me to learn about the great work that you all have been doing, not only in environmental education, but in the closely related and overlapping domain of STEM education. These are themes of tremendous importance to President Obama personally, and of course to all of the administration officials who are speaking here this morning. I want specifically to thank the Environmental Protection Agency and its amazing administrator, from whom you just heard, Gina McCarthy, for their leadership on environmental issues. As you all know, the EPA under Gina's leadership continues to work every day to ensure that citizens across the country have clean water to drink, clean air to breathe, as well as a climate we can live with. There is no more important work than that. And in that connection, it is, of course, a great honor for me to be able to address the winners of the 2016 Presidential Environmental Education Awards. You have all exhibited passion and talent for strengthening the very foundation of future environmental progress in this country. That foundation is raising our game in environmental education and ensuring that America's young people have the skills, the tools, and the knowledge necessary to build a sustainable future. Of all of the challenges associated with building that future, there's much reason to think that the most daunting, the most demanding, is the challenge of bringing human-caused global climate change to a halt before its impacts become completely unmanageable. And at the heart of it is this: without energy, there is no economy. Without climate, there is no environment. Without economy and environment, there is no material well-being, there is no health, there is no quality of life, there is no personal or national security. And our problem is that the world has been getting the energy our economies need in ways that are wrecking the climate that our environment needs. In a world of 7.5 billion people that remains 80% dependent on fossil fuels for its primary energy, and in which the infrastructure providing that energy represents a $25 trillion investment with a turnover time of 30 to 40 years, fixing this disconnect is no small task. But under President Obama's leadership, this administration has been working hard to address that big, daunting, demanding challenge, with the recognition that without environment-savvy business people, environment-savvy government officials, environment-savvy activists, and environment-savvy citizenry, we simply can't get the job done. And accordingly, the Obama administration has been particularly focused on equipping teachers with the training, tools, and resources to inspire the next generation. And teachers and students in this room are key examples of what success in that effort looks like. It continues to be incredibly important for us as well to interact with leaders like you, teachers and students who are out there on the ground getting this incredibly important work done, to listen to your ideas, to answer your questions, and to hear how we in government can help you inspire the nation's talent pool to address the climate change challenge. I want to encourage you to continue to use your voices to create lasting change in your communities. Teachers, to share your innovative work with your peers and tell us what we can do to address the needs and opportunities you see in this immensely important domain. Students, to continue to serve as leaders and role models in your communities. Be sure to make your voices heard and serve as advocates on the important environmental issues facing your communities and your peers. To wrap up, let me just say that it's my hope, for the sake of future generations, that all of you continue to devote yourselves to tackling the big problems, multiplying your impact by sharing your insights with and propagating your passions to others. You are making a difference. For what you have done, for what you are doing, for what you will do, I thank you, and President Obama thanks you. I've been persuaded to take a couple questions. I don't know, we've not exhausted the subject, but we may have exhausted the audience. There's one.
To thank the President. I know in his first State of the Union speech, he promised to put in funding for green job corps, and that led to $934,000 for Merced County, which opened up the way for us to be able to train our kids to put solar on rooftops. So if you would mind telling the President, we appreciate it.
I will pass that on. Thank you. Thank you for that. You mentioned his first State of the Union address. I think no president in history has talked more about science, technology, engineering, math, environmental education, innovation, entrepreneurship, and sustainability than President Obama. He has been the most science-savvy and the most environment-savvy president in history. Another one down here. The question was, how has my work changed from my position at Harvard to my position here? Well, I have to tell you in all candor that there's nothing like being the science and technology advisor to the President of the United States, particularly when it is the most science and technology savvy president since Thomas Jefferson. And I always like to say that there's more science to be savvy about today than there was when Thomas Jefferson was president. It's just been an incredibly exciting experience, an enormous opportunity to help the President shape national and global policy on these issues. I enjoyed my time as an academic, 13 years at Harvard, 23 years at Berkeley. Enjoyed it immensely, doing what a lot of you are doing, interacting with students, getting them interested, excited, and informed about the biggest issues. Those were great jobs too, but having the opportunity to work for this president on these issues at this time has been an incomparable experience. Yeah.
Are there still tax credits being offered to fossil fuel companies?
Yes, there are still some. We have pledged, along with other countries in the G20, to phase out fossil fuel subsidies, but that work is not yet completed, and it should be. Yeah.
President Obama mentioned national marine sanctuaries that were going to be happening, that were nominated, and the one that is here in the Chesapeake Bay is Mallows Bay, Potomac River, and my school has been very instrumental in bringing awareness to that. And since it is in his backyard, I keep telling my students maybe he'll come visit us. You think
I'll remind him what a useful thing to do that would be. And I would say, with respect to sanctuaries and national monuments, stay tuned. There's more coming. Way in the back. Yeah.
One of the important environmental issues is the pollinator support efforts, and so I wondered if you could talk about the most hopeful things that you see happening in the pollinator arena with bees, butterflies, that sort of support.
Well, this is the only administration in history to have actually had a pollinator initiative and an executive order about pollinators. I could tell you an interesting story about that. I was meeting with the president about 3 years ago now on an entirely different topic, a topic related to advanced energy technology. And at the end of the 20-minute conversation I had with him in the Oval Office, he said, I was getting up to leave, and he said, by the way, are we doing enough about honeybee colony collapse disorder? This is probably the only president the United States has ever had who would say the phrase honeybee colony collapse disorder in a meeting in the Oval Office. He understood and understands how and why pollinators matter to society, how they matter to the ecosystem. And my answer to that question was, no, Mr. President, we're not doing enough. And that conversation led to the pollinator initiative that now has the Million Gardens component. It has the Monarch Highway running virtually the length of the country from north to south, working with state departments of transportation to make habitat along highways welcoming to pollinators. This is really a big deal, and I think it underscores, again, the proposition that in this administration, we have a president who's paying attention to every major aspect of environmental well-being, as well as to public health, as well as to the economy and job creation, as well as to national and homeland security. He has an amazing bandwidth which enables him, again, in the same conversation, to focus on advances in fusion energy technology and then turn to pollinator health. Yes?
So what are your hopes for the future, and what advice or encouragement do you offer to the children and the students who are here today?
Well, first of all, I remain optimistic about the future. Gina McCarthy and I are very much in the same camp on that. I said in the green room that if I weren't optimistic about the future, I'd be out fishing rather than working in the White House. But the source of my optimism about the future is, above all, the next generation. What our students are doing, what our teachers are doing to help the students get engaged, get knowledgeable, to propagate their knowledge, to propagate their insights, to propagate their enthusiasm. I mean, this is really the source of my optimism that we will get done what we need to get done on climate, on drinking water, on clean air, on ecosystem services, on endangered species. We're going to get it done because of the generation that's represented in this room and their teachers.
How do we make these innovations
fantastic innovations profitable enough to make it sustainable and to perhaps move towards this as being our major source of energy and technology?
This is a really good question, and of course it's one as we come nearer the end of the 8-year Obama administration that we're thinking about. How do we ensure continuity? How do we ensure that the initiatives that this administration has launched are continued in the future? I'm not allowed to talk about political campaigns, so I won't. But I think it's perhaps enough to say that people should demand of the candidates for all offices, national, state, and local, that they explain their understanding and their commitment to addressing the challenges we face in this domain. That's probably a good place to end. Thank you all very much.